This lesson is isosceles triangles. We're going to learn properties of isosceles triangles and parts of them and how the congruent pieces match up and solve questions involving isosceles triangles. So we know already that an isosceles triangle is a triangle with two congruent sides. The congruent sides are called legs and the third side is called the base. And then when you're talking about angles, the two angles that make up the base are called the base angles. And the angle that's across from the base is called the vertex angle. So you have two different isosceles triangle theorems. One says that if two sides of a triangle are congruent, then the angles opposite those sides are also congruent. So if you have this triangle with two congruent sides, draw across from the congruent sides, and those two angles are also congruent. So if segment AB is congruent to segment AC, then angle B is congruent to angle C. So let's do this example. We'll find the value of x. Well, I have a triangle with two congruent sides, and my variable is an angle measure, and I know one more angle measure. So I'm dealing with the angles of a triangle. Well, use this theorem. The angles that are opposite these congruent sides are congruent. So what I can say is I can draw across from these congruent sides, and these angles are congruent. Since one of them is x, then the other one must also be x. And then you know that the three angles of a triangle add up to 180. Well, let's do that. X plus 50 equals 180. And you'll just solve that equation for x. You get 65. So first, use the fact that when two sides are congruent, that their opposite angles are congruent. So you know those measures have to be the same. And then take it a step further. What else do you know about angles of a triangle? Well, you know that all three of them add up to 180. So write your equation where all three of the angles add up to equal 180 and solve. Another theorem says that if you have a triangle and two angles are congruent, then the sides opposite those angles are also congruent. So in this triangle, you have two congruent angles. Well, draw across to the opposite sides, and we know then that those two sides are also congruent. So if angle B is congruent to angle C, then segment AB is congruent to segment AC. So in this example, it says find the value of x. Well, I know that angle B is 50 degrees and angle C is 50 degrees. So those angles are congruent, which means that the sides opposite those angles are also congruent, which means that 3x minus 7 has to equal x plus 15. And that's what I'll say. 3x minus 7 equals x plus 15. We'll solve for x. Subtract the x from both sides to move it to the left. Add 7 to move it to the right. Divide by 2. X equals 11. So remember, in an isosceles triangle, if two sides are congruent, then the angles opposite those sides are congruent. And if two angles are congruent, then the sides opposite those angles are congruent.